Ask Mike, brought to you by the Stadium Shop on Razorback in Fayetteville.
Happy Monday, everybody. It's time for another edition of Ask Mike, but it is a special edition because she's not Mike Irwin.
I am definitely not Mike Irwin.
I'm not Mike Irwin. We are joined by Alyssa Orange today, and it's going to be a special edition of Ask Mike. Ask Alyssa and Courtney, and I know some of the people were excited to have this because they were the ones who requested it. So, are we ready to get started? I think we're going to go back and forth on the questions.
We are. I'm going to ask the first question. We're going to flip back and forth. But first and foremost, Mike is enjoying a nice, relaxing vacation with his wife Mary and his dog Milo and his sister in Texas. And so, we wish Mike a relaxing vacation. He back next Monday?
Yeah, next Monday.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
He'll be back next Monday, so no fear. But here we go. Kenny Oliver is our first question, and he wants to know, why is the media so bad at predicting how the coming SEC football season will play out each year? Seems like in that the media polls, they get the easy part right with Georgia and Alabama winning their divisions, but after that, they are clueless.
This is a really good question because this is the biggest quip and qualm I have with SEC media days. The reason why the media get it wrong is pretty simple. They like to latch onto storylines. They're all about the storylines going into the season, Alyssa. And last year, the storylines were, and Mike Irwin will even tell you this is his biggest pet peeve on SEC media days. The storylines of last year just didn't play out the way the media thought they would. LSU, great example, right? The media were going, Brian Kelly over his head. He can't coach in the SEC. We don't think anything of LSU.
Yeah.
What happened there? Yeah, well, they went and proved everybody wrong, right? They were picked to finish, I believe, 5th in the West, and that didn't happen.
Right.
And then look at Texas A&M, right?
Yeah.
You had a team that everybody was so hot on. I feel like the media always feels very hot on Texas A&M.
Some of those people down there, I guess. Sure.
Yeah, some of them. They had a really good recruiting class. They went into the year, they said, okay, we have a really good recruiting class. They were picked to finish 2nd. That didn't happen. They finished dead last. So it's one of those things where you have all these storylines, and that's all you can really go off of. And I said this on the radio today. The media goes off of those storylines because that's all they have. You don't really you have the spring and you have these storylines. Fall camp is when you get a lot of those questions answered. And so that's when you kind of figure out, ooh, we could be wrong on our predictions. They have so many question marks about Arkansas, Alyssa, going into this year that's why Arkansas is showing up 5th, 4th in the West because they just don't know what Arkansas is going to look like.
Yeah, do you want your Mike Irwin answer? Because
I love that.
Mike Irwin would say. I'm sitting here laughing because I've attended numerous SEC media days with Mike, and Mike will tell you it's in the state of Alabama. It's a bunch of biased media because this is how this works. It's the media credentialed for SEC media who puts out the SEC media poll at the end of this week. You and Evan will get to vote.
We do.
I don't get to vote because I'm not going. Will's not voting. Mike's not voting. And a lot of the people who are there are Alabama members of the media. Bob Holt is there. We've heard him ask a question already. There's going to be a lot of representation, but for the most part, Mike Irwin will tell you, a lot of these people are from the state of Alabama. There are biases, and that's where a lot of this lopsidedness lies. Not all of it is necessarily as objective as it should be.
Yeah.
And so people are either, there was that one year where it was like one person chose Arkansas to win the West and win the SEC, and they were bad. I think it might have been Bielema's first year. And it was like, oh, okay, what Arkansas media did that just to be biased, right? So there's a little bit of that I think you have to take into account. And that's why it looks so glaringly wrong. On top of the fact that if we looked on paper and decided who wins, it wouldn't be any fun. That's why sports are the way that they are and why storylines do not matter once the season starts. It's a little bit more of just I am here and I cover the, Kentucky Wildcats, so I'm going to say they're going to win the East.
I actually really like that point, too. And it'll be interesting to see how that plays into this year because everybody is so hot on LSU this year, right? Do they get picked to finish first in the West, or does Alabama get picked? That's where I'm kind of intrigued to know, will that bias play a factor? Will we see Alabama shine there?
Where's A&M going to fall on the list? Where's Arkansas? Oh, Lane Kiffin, don't forget about,
that's true,
Ole Miss, and LSU will just lose their first game of the year regardless.
Oh,
so it
yeah.
doesn't matter.
Well, we know that. That's I see that FSU
You're
bias.
talking about
coming out.
bias.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about bias. That FSU bias coming out there.
A little
All
bit.
right. Our second question is from Parallax Pig, who asks, what's your favorite and not so favorite part of talking season? I love this question.
This part where we're literally just talking, because like I just said, once the season starts, these storylines that Courtney brings up, the way that we're saying, okay, KJ Jefferson on paper is the best returning quarterback, but then you've got people picking Arkansas to finish 4th in the West, 5th in the West. None of that matters anymore, and the only thing that matters is what happens on Saturdays. And so I love talking season because it gives us something to talk about instead of sitting here, Courtney and I and the rest of our team going, what do we say today? And then we actually finally get to start talking about something real when fall camp gets here, where it kind of gets turned up a notch and we get to be a little bit more serious. And then on Sundays when they perform and we're really talking about actual tangible things.
Yeah, I love talking season because you also get to see another side of the coaches, right? Right before that fall camp hits, when they're pedal to the metal, they're working. Right now, they're still kind of almost in vacation mode. I don't want to say fully vacation mode because they're always working. The coaches never stop working. But Sam Pittman was taking pictures in Hot Springs with people. He's having a good time in between recruiting. Same with, Nick Saban, all those guys. They're all kind of fitting in their vacations. And so I feel like when SEC Media Days hits, that's when you get that different side of these coaches. And Sam Pittman, always a hit, right?
Yeah.
He's always, talking about his jukebox and talking about, it was why I love Mike Leach at Media Days. And rest in peace to him. But he just had fun with it.
Didn't care.
He didn't care. And it gives you something, to talk about, but you also have some fun stuff to run on these coaches before the season begins. You get a little insight into who they are as people. Shane Beamer was a funny guy.
Yeah.
You get to see that side of him. Same with Sam Pittman. I like that.
Sure.
I agree with you. I don't like the waiting and talking. I just want Saturdays to come. Just give me Saturdays.
Yeah.
Just give me Saturdays in the fall.
Yeah, the old ball coach Coyne talking season during SEC Media Days, talking about Steve Spurrier, because he knew something that he said was going to get talked about, and it was going to be random. And I promise you, at the end of this week, we're going to put a compilation together of SEC Media Days and the most wacky things that got said during the week, the craziest things that happened. Last year, Eli Drinkowitz thought the SEC Media Days was a stand-up comedy act.
He was going left and right.
And so that's, I think, part of the reason why we get to ask those goofball, off-the-wall questions during this time of the year. If we were to go up to Sam Pittman during a press conference on a Wednesday during the middle of the season and asked him about his lake house in Hot Springs, he'd been like, and next.
Yeah, or
Thank
what's
you, next.
playing on your jukebox right now? Like,
Right.
no, we're not going to be able to ask
It's a little
those.
more serious.
It definitely is, and
Okay.
so I love that. I love
There you
that
go.
answer.
All right, Hog Redneck says, I see problems in college softball if Oklahoma continues to dominate every year. They need some competition. And what's up with them getting to host the World Series every year?
Okay, well, for Hog
I got,
Redneck,
I got.
my spiciness.
You go first. You go first.
Well, I'm going to give you the reason. It's hosted in Oklahoma City, not because of Oklahoma. We do realize that, right? Like that.
I think that we need to clarify.
Okay, we
that.
need to clarify this. They're not getting to host it, okay? They were chosen as the site for the Women's College World Series.
Oklahoma City was.
Oklahoma City, sorry, I should say that, yes.
The administration building for softball was there.
Yep.
The Amateur Softball Association moved there after 1966, and it's been there
Correct.
since 1990.
Yeah, so 1966, you said that.
Yeah.
It's been the home of USA softball since 1966. So it's it's
Sure.
kind of a funny thing that, yes, it is in Oklahoma, but it's almost like, why is the SEC baseball tournament in Hoover, Alabama? Well, Alabama isn't getting to host it per se, but yes, they do get slightly an advantage because, it's in the state of Alabama, but I don't think it's moving anywhere anytime soon, because if you've been to that stadium as well, it's really nice. It truly is an atmosphere. And Oklahoma City, I mean, I got to go there, gosh, when it was 2018, 2017, and it was fun. I mean, the softball fans come out. They make it a truly a great atmosphere to go to. If you haven't been before, you need to go because it's just so much fun. Maybe Courtney Deifel and the Razorbacks can get there and do that and get people to buy into that atmosphere, because it is awesome. And so I wouldn't move it, because I love that stadium. I don't know where you can move it to. I don't know. It's kind of like,
at the end of the day, I think that it's centrally located in the United States, just like Omaha is.
Yes,
and
I was about to say
for the
that.
Razorbacks, it's a nice 6-hour drive. If you happen to be the Florida Gators, you have to fly there. But it has built so much history, it's never going to leave.
No.
It just happens to be that the team that's right down the road is really, really good. And Patty Gasso has done a really good job recruiting as of late. But you also have to remember that this Oklahoma dynasty, even though with the last 10 years, it's been able to grow.
Yeah.
And we've seen it come to fruition really the last 4 or 5 years. But before then, it was the UCLAs and the Arizonas and the Cals, and the Pac-12 dominated for a really, really long time and would have to come to Oklahoma City and win a national title. On top of the fact, you're also asking someone whose alma mater has competed in 3 of the last 5.
I was about to say, I was like,
3 of the last
FSU is
6. Won one,
dominant.
lost twice to Oklahoma in the finals. And it's not for lack of competition. It's not like Oklahoma is that much superior and then there's everybody else. They're just really, really good. There are really good softball teams. And right now we're watching Oklahoma be dominant, but they haven't always been dominant. They've got that win streak going on right now that I think is 52 games or something. It's been a while that they've lost a game. But it's kind of the same with Alabama football. For a while, it felt like Alabama football was doing everything, and in the moment, it felt suffocating.
Yes.
But then you have to take a step back, and we have seen other teams rise and fall with Alabama, even though they're pretty steady. It is just a kind of the time in softball right now.
Yeah.
But it's not for lack of competition.
Absolutely not. And I was even going to bring up a point is there are teams, and even like Arkansas, where you might look at what Courtney Deifel's doing, and you might say, well, they're not Oklahoma just yet, but she's building towards that. She's building to be in the conversation with the Oklahomas, the UCLAs, the FSUs of college softball, because what she is doing, I mean, she made that hire with DJ Gasso, the son of Patty Gasso. I mean, how much closer can you get to okay, unless you hire Patty Gasso, which isn't happening. But you're getting someone that has that experience, that has that experience of winning. She's trying to build a staff. She's trying to put together rosters each and every year that are going to compete with that dominance. Look at the recruiting class of last year. It was one of the top in the nation. This year, she has some incredible talent coming in. She's pulling transfers in that have incredible resumes.
Arkansas,
they're wanting to be in that conversation. So when you talk about Oklahoma's dominance, like you said, it doesn't happen overnight. It's a build. And that's what I believe. I'm going to put Arkansas in that conversation, because Courtney Deifel's building for it.
You look at what Patty Gasso, if you were to ask her, that she's been coaching for a long time, and finally within the last 10 years, it's all starting to fall in line. Yeah. You look at what Lonnie Alameda has done at FSU, and she was a coach in 2005 when I was in school, and it's finally gotten to the point where all of that struggle is starting to pay off. Courtney Deifel coached as a grad assistant in Oklahoma with Patty Gasso. She has seen firsthand how Patty Gasso has built a program from afar and being in that dugout. She's on the right trajectory. But again, if you were to ask any of these coaches, it is not for lack of competition. It's just things are finally starting to hit exactly when they need it to.
And it's going to be real fun when Oklahoma and Texas join the SEC
Yes,
as well.
yes,
That dominance is going to join the conference. So I think everybody is waiting with bated breath for that to happen.
Waiting with something.
It's my turn to ask you, right? Devil Dog on Hogville asks, does the U of A or any official outlet have tickets for sale for the Battle for Atlantis in November? Most attempts I have made to find tickets for sale involve booking accommodations at Atlantis. What's the best course of action to find them and purchase more directly?
You know what? I think that might just be it. To be honest with you, I think that doing some research, and I think you've come to the same conclusion. That's just maybe how they operate. It's much easier for them to control the ticket sales, the accommodations. You're buying a package because at the end of the day, if you're going to go, you need a place to stay. You need, you know, to get there, you need tickets, you need whatever, and so maybe they've found it easiest to just do it that
way.
way.
They probably want you to stay there too.
Well, sure.
That's their like, oh, come stay with us.
And I've never been. I don't know. I have no idea what's even around it. It's like that's your option to stay there, or you don't stay at all.
Yeah,
so
I
have
think,
no idea.
I think that is the option. It's like an island kind of its own, you know. And I haven't been either. I'd love to go.
I just want to go down the giant water slide that takes you underwater.
Me
with the
too.
fish.
I
mean,
bet
really, that's all I want.
Is it part of the package? Are we allowed to do?
Can I just fly down there, go on the big giant water slide, and I'm good.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, and the packages aren't cheap either. I was going to answer, Devil Dog probably saw this, but the packages are, and I'm going to read this off, the basic ones are starting at $120, and that only gives you access to your team's 3 games. If you want to see any of the other teams play, you have to pay $504 or higher for all 12 games, which is it's a bit pricey, but you know. So if there is a way to get single tickets, I don't know what they would be priced at because the packages they're going to give you the nice little neat package. You get to watch all your team's games and then have fun at our resort.
It's an all-inclusive basketball tournament.
Yes.
That's what it is.
Yes, exactly.
All right, you ready?
Oh, this is my favorite
Here we
question.
go. This one is from Geoff. And I'm going to tell you guys, Geoff is Courtney's boyfriend.
Oh, yeah, Mike has told us on the show.
Great. I just want to make sure everyone's on the same page here. Courtney, directly to her, so I ain't saying nothing about this.
No, you can.
No,
he wants you to answer too.
I know you love your college hoops, of course, because I'm your boyfriend. And I don't think this has been asked of you yet. And since I'm your boyfriend, I'm going to ask you, what's your idea starting 5 for this upcoming Arkansas basketball season from your boyfriend?
Thank you. Thank you for putting all the from your boyfriends in. He did say after he submitted this question, I want Alyssa's response too. He didn't just want my response. I'm blushing right now.
Do you have a question for Ask Mike this week?
Yeah,
because
Saw?
I don't have one. I'm kidding.
Where's Saw? Come on, he
it.
has some good questions. This is the hardest question I have been asked ever in my life. I will say that because I have thought about this.
Okay.
Because I don't know what I would do if I was Eric Musselman. You have so much talent, and I'm going, and I'm like, ooh, that would be a fun 5. Ooh, for this game, this would be a fun 5. Ooh, this one, I'd love to see these 5 on the court together. The 5 I think that will start the season. Okay, this is start the season, guys. This is not what I think. Game one. This is not what I think.
And only game one.
Forward. Exactly, because moving forward, we could see other things.
Okay.
I think Musselman's going with experience. Okay. You are going to, obviously, Devo Davis is going to be in my starting 5.
Okay.
Trevin Brazil, I'm going to go with that experience, that size. He's, we need a couple forwards in there. This is a guy that I don't think Arkansas fans truly understand how talented he is, but I have watched him since the JUCO level. Ellis, I would make him my point guard because I just think he brings that experience to the position. I don't want Devo playing the point, even though he did a little bit last year. I don't think that's where he's going to be used this year. So I think you got Ellis there kind of leading the team. Let's hope that he understands the system. That was a big question for me. Is like, I haven't seen the practices, so I don't know how well these guys are fitting in the system. But this is just from what I know of them as players. I'm going with Ellis. And then the last 2 are pretty hard for me because I really want to put a freshman in there.
Okay.
And I really want to put in McDonald's All-American Bay Fall. We know he's practicing. We know he looks good. Our Hoops insider, Kevin McPherson, says he is one of the quickest guys he has seen playing center. Okay. So I like that. I like that. So Bay Fall. And I think I'm going to go maybe with another freshman.
Okay.
I think I'm going to go with Layden Blocker as well. And that's going to be my starting 5. Okay. And that the only reason I put those 2 freshmen in there is because I think they're very talented. We saw what freshmen can do last year. You have the experience in your lineup with Devo and Trevin. Yeah. Elle is also bringing that experience too. But I say this and then I'm like, well, Khalif Battle and Trayvon Mark, and I'm like, oh, all these guys are so good. Yeah. I think we're going to see a lot of rotation starting off early in the season.
Just like we did last year.
Just like we did last year.
And I think you're right. And I think that it would be a mistake to not start Devo game one.
Absolutely.
I don't know if he'll always be in that starting lineup, but game one, with him coming back, it's more of a statement start because of the dedication and what he brings to the table. And again, it's game one. Just get guys out there who have been here before.
To help those younger guys.
Yes.
To help those younger guys.
Yes. So. I'm not going to give you a full 5. I'm
Oh.
just going to tell you that my
You're copping
my
out.
6-man,
You're
my
copping
6
out.
I honestly here, and you can say that, but the deal is, to your point, I don't know enough about these guys to really make an educated decision. I think we're absolutely right on. We don't even know who is going to be playing at that time. We don't know if Trevin is 100% good to go at that time. You know, his trajectory is looking promising, but again, we just don't know enough. That it would be really remiss for me. I just, to be very honest, don't know enough about these guys to make an educated decision or announcement. I think
And
your
we're not in
6-man
practices, too.
We have no idea. Our 6-man off the bench is Jalen Graham.
I was going to say that. That is the guy that I'd love to see in that rotation, because you also get that experience too. If you're looking to put a bunch of guys with experience on the court, you have that in this roster this year. Jalen Graham. And if you want to play bigger too, depending on who your opponent is,
you never know.
Play bigger. I like that. Six man of the year.
Yeah, and we also have Makai Mitchell.
Yeah, I know.
Again, it's a lot.
It's a lot because do you throw him in there as well? Do you start him over Bay Fall because of the experience? I mean, he plays, you know, he's your big man.
But we
right?
know Musselman goes with talent a lot of times. So we'll see.
And Bay Fall is super talented.
Yep.
So I want to be in these practices because I could be totally wrong and I could go, oh, wow, he's playing a 5 that I didn't even think about.
Right.
So I don't know. We'll see. But that's my 5. That's what I'm going with. People can rip me apart on that if they want to. TL Sladen asks, do you foresee any crowd behavior issues with the new sports bar on top of the NEZ at DWRS?
So the north end zone.
Is that what he's saying?
Donald W. Reynolds Razorback Stadium.
Yeah, I looked at that and I was like, why are there all these?
What's the Nez at the divorce?
The Nez at the divorce. I like. That's what my brain read it at first, and I was like, Razorback Stadium, but what is the Nez? I don't like that.
North end zone.
North end zone. That makes sense. I love that. I like the idea that it's separated from regular seating. Anybody up there knows what to expect.
Sure. I think I don't think there should be any behavioral issues because I think that they will have it regulated much more strict than a bar on Dixon Street. They most likely, like all sporting events, will have a cutoff. So they will have to respect the cutoff of after the end of the third quarter, we're not selling any more beverages. We probably can't sell you more than 2 at a time. So no one's, quadruple fisting up there. I don't know. So in other words, obviously this kind of goes back to that first comment and discussion we had when they introduced alcohol for the first time in these arenas.
Yeah.
Is this going to be an issue? We really haven't seen much of an issue at all. Occasionally, you have that drunken fan, but it hasn't been a big thing where the whole entire stadium is like, oh, we're not going to pay attention to the game because there's this mad ruckus up in section 304 or something like that.
And they have this at Jacksonville, because I was talking about this with Mike. At Jacksonville's stadium, they have like a hot tub pool area.
It's a whole thing to distract you from the game. Because the Jags, well, they might be better now, but they weren't.
But they weren't, and so you had that little hot tub area. There's hardly, I feel like, any issues. Every time I've been to a game, they all seem kind of chill up there.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they set limits on how much you can drink up there or things like that. I haven't been up there personally, but it doesn't seem like it gets rowdy, and you would think it gets rowdy with a pool in your stadium. So they're not adding a pool up there in that little, what is it called? Big Red's bar?
Big Red's
bar? I love that.
Big Red's stadium
and
bar
do they,
deck.
And you can probably correct me on this. Do they limit how much alcohol you can buy, right, at once? Like, is it
that's
one
what I'm saying.
2 per person?
You can't buy more. That's what I'm saying. You can't go up and be like, give me 5 Bud Lights. And then you're walking around like this with your 5 Bud Lights and a straw. You're not doing that.
I would love to see somebody carry 5 Bud Lights and a straw.
I am not going to dare anyone to do that.
Please don't do that.
And no saying, Alyssa Orange told me so. No, I did not.
No.
So I'm also curious too, with this, you have to, just like any other section, I could be wrong, this is me thinking out loud, do you have to buy a ticket to this area? Is it not, it's not open to general admission,
No,
so I
no.
think it is a set ticket for said area, which is probably gonna cost something that your college kids are not going to buy. So you don't have to worry about college kids going up there and just going nutso.
Yeah.
If that's what you're worried about, I think that
Like bases
they're
loaded
really-
landing.
Yes,
Bases loaded landing.
they're
yeah.
really going to take into consideration truly all safety when it comes to obviously adding alcohol into the mix.
Absolutely, and I think Hunter Yurachek is prepared for that as well. He seems very on board with this idea and loves it and is overseeing all this. I'm sure that was a conversation way before it was even built. So,
Yeah. So I think we're okay.
yeah.
Okay.
My turn, your turn. I can't
I think it's
remember
my
now.
turn.
I think it's your turn. That's right.
Marty Bird's Proxy asks, what do each of you like about Arkansas and covering the Razorbacks as opposed to other places you've worked and lived?
I have answered a similar question to this,
Okay.
and I'm going to go back to kind of reference that answer a little bit. It's the passion of the fan base. Everywhere else I have been, I've been in Panama City Beach, and you have FSU fans there, you have Alabama fans there, you have Tennessee fans there, you have Florida fans there. It's just a different atmosphere. Like some people were like, oh yeah, college football, cool. You know, yeah, I graduated from Alabama. It's cool, we're good. But it's just not the same. Like here, when you come here, it's like, do you know the head softball coach's name? Because you need to with the Arkansas Razorbacks. Like it's passion, not just for football. It's passion, not just for basketball. For every single sport, down to volleyball, down to gymnastics. This fan base cares deeply. Golf cares deeply, deeply about every single sport. And to me, as an avid sports fan, I love that. Yeah. I love that everybody cares. I mean, we had a softball question in the show today. I love that everybody cares so deeply about everything here in Arkansas. And I've said before, I'll say it again, they treat the Razorbacks like a pro team.
Yeah.
And we cover them like a pro team. I mean, we get to do things that people in Gainesville, people in Tallahassee, people in Tuscaloosa don't get to do because the fan base here, that's the difference for me.
Yeah, and talking about other places I've worked and lived, when I flew up here in 2013 for my interview from Abilene, Texas, immediately it was like, oh, green trees, I'm in. Because West Texas is like tumbleweed, and it was a great experience, and I covered some really great high school football. But to come to a place, jokingly, it's green there too, they have trees. There are walnut trees everywhere. It was the idea of covering an SEC team. And when I moved here, that was the draw. And then I met my husband, and I think everyone understands that I've been here for a really long time because I've decided to stay here. I've decided to invest in this place, in this product. And so I saw immediately what you're seeing in year two here is what I learned very quickly, a year and a half in, of wow, these people have a passion, they have a love. And this was like, things were bad. Like, I tell her all the time, she's spoiled. She walks in. All these teams are good. In 2013, 14, like, baseball was good.
Right.
You
got to go to Omaha.
Yeah,
right,
baseball was great, right?
Yeah.
But not program-wide were they as dominant in everything, for the most part. Track, also always good. That they are right now. And so even then, that passion was still there.
Wow.
It's just grown since then. And, I think the reason why I stayed in Arkansas, besides the fact that my husband's from Fayetteville, is that, you make those connections. Like, our product wouldn't be what it is without the people who watch us, without the fans that we interact with, who invest back into our product, who basically tell our bosses, don't touch them.
Yeah,
they're doing
love
a
what
great
Pig Trail
job.
does,
And we've been able to build this product in a environment where people are cutting sports. And I've seen some really good people over the even just past couple months have to be laid off of their jobs. People who I went to the NSMA awards who were award-winning writers for their states had to be let go. And it's really unfortunate. It breaks my heart, but it also makes me fortunate to have a place like this in a company that invests in the people, on top of the fact that we get to cover some really cool people.
I love
so that's why, that's my answer.
Wow, that kind of got me a little emotional there at the end.
Sorry.
Oh, so nice.
That was my 10-year perspective. Maybe in 10 years.
Yeah. I'm like, I have my year 2 perspective, and you're over here like, it was bad, then we got good, and now our jobs are safe. I could never imagine them cutting us, because I've heard that too from everyone. We just love what you do, and that makes it really makes us feel really good about getting up here and doing what we do.
And so. It really truly does. I know we say this all the time, like, we don't have the jobs we don't have without the people who watch us.
Exactly.
And so we are very much appreciative to all of you who ever stop and say hello. And even when I'm trying to pick out my husband's, cologne at Ulta, and you say hello, please always say hello. So we appreciate it.
And we appreciate you for watching this show. And we have one final question. And this might be the best question.
Okay.
Pork Tongue asks, what is your favorite thing about working with Mike? Alyssa, you get this first, because you worked with him.
Gosh.
For what?
10, it'll be 10 years. So 11, it'll be 11 seasons.
Oh.
Yeah. My favorite part about working with Mike is working with Mike.
Okay.
And, there are days, I think all of us understand, like, he's grumpy. And he'll get, angry at technology, and back in my day, to cut this stuff, I typed all my stuff on a typewriter, blah, 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 blah.
It's a great impression.
And then, he's wonderful. But I think the stories are always fun. He never runs out of a story, even though I've heard it 100 times.
Yeah, we've all heard them 100 times.
On a million road trips. We passed by one more mountain, and he tells me about, did you know my wife's dad had to go down this mountain on his birthday, and his dad kicked him out? And I'm like, Mike, I've heard this story, but tell it again, please.
Yeah, I love that. I don't know if I've heard that story, so I might have to bug him about that one.
I don't know if you want to. You open up a can of worms there. But he truly is one of a kind. And he is a part of a generation of journalists that will never come around again. And you learn a lot from him and the stories he tells, and the way he's able to tell those stories on a computer, through a piece that he does on our shows, through Ask Mike, that is just really cool to listen to.
I think that's the perfect way to say it, because I was just about to say it's the stories. I mean, I don't care if he tells them to me 20 times. They get annoying after the 20th time, but it's nice that he cares so much to share those things with you, because some of them are really personal and some of them are really sweet, and you find you just learn a lot. I've learned so much through working with Mike, from doing this show with him every single Monday. It's just invaluable stuff. And I know when I look at the viewer comments, they always go, Courtney's learning so much from Mike. And I go, yes,
All the
I am.
time.
I'm
Every
a
day.
sponge with him, and I learn everything. And he's just great. He's great to work with. He's great to be around. And you're right, he's the GOAT. He's the GOAT of Northwest Arkansas
He really is.
sports,
He really is. And he's we wouldn't be the same without him, for sure. And you work with someone for a long time, 10 years, and you're traveling around, and you learn their quirks, and just, sometimes you just got to roll your eyes because it's Mike, but you realize the value and appreciation you have with somebody when he's not sitting over there because he's on vacation.
Yeah. Well, we love Mike. I'm excited to have him back next Monday. But Alyssa, this was so much fun.
Was fun.
Thank you so much for joining me this week on this special edition of Ask Mike.
It was fun.
Mike will be back next Monday to answer more of your questions. So we'll see you then.